I just want a second look.
Yeah, there's something about this one, isn't there? It's familiar somehow.
We think we're stuck in a specific fragment in time, and we've been repeating that same fragment over and over.
But the flirting's over, Sherlock. Daddy's had enough now.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV reviews of Connections in Mind. The Orville is a new sci-fi series premiering on Fox, starring Seth MacFarlane, the show's creator, as Ed Mercer, the captain of the USS Orville, a captain who's a bit down on his luck recently after a messy breakup from his ex-wife, played by, Adrienne Palicki. Sorry if that's mispronounced. And, of course, shenanigans ensue when it turns out that his ex-wife becomes his executive officer on the Orville. Now, this video review will contain certain spoilers of the pilot episode of the Orville, as well as certain other films and TV series. There will be a full list of the description below. And if you've not seen the premiere episode of the Orville yet, or any of the films and TV shows listed below, and want to wait until you have, stop the video at this point and come back later. But with these things in mind, though, let's begin. So instead of just summarizing the plot of the premiere episode of the Orville, let's just dive into how this video is similar, and we'll get into plot specifics later. Now, judging from the trailers, it's very obvious that this is supposed to be evocative of Star Trek, and there's a good reason why. Seth MacFarlane, the creator of the Orville, is a humongous Trekkie. He's a huge fan of the show. He's actually appeared in 2 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise, and he's managed to get most of the principal cast members of Star Trek The Next Generation to appear on Family Guy, one of his other shows. And it shows up in a number of different ways, but mainly it pokes fun at the certain tropes of Star Trek in general. Now, this is displayed in a couple of different ways, some overt and some covert. Some of the direct homages to Star Trek include a scene near the beginning where we get to see the Orville for the first time, and Ed Mercer, played by Seth MacFarlane, is taken on a shuttle tour around the Orville, and when the Orville leaves the space dock, the scene plays out very similarly to the opening scenes of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where we get our first look at the refitted Enterprise. And as well as near the climax of the premiere episode, we get the Orville is under attack by an alien race. The captain and crew and certain crew members are on a shuttlecraft heading back to the Orville. But of course, there's some sudden maneuvering and debris, which makes docking tricky. So the pilots are forced to make a high-speed run from the shuttlecraft into the shuttle bay of the Orville in order to escape danger. Now, this is very reminiscent of Star Trek V: Final Frontier, where a similar situation faced Captain Kirk, where he is on the shuttlecraft trying to make it back to the Enterprise, and of course it's under a less than ideal situation, so they're forced to make a crash landing inside the Enterprise shuttle bay in order to escape a bird of prey. Now, the format of this series also evokes a certain feel of Galaxy Quest, in that both Galaxy Quest and the Orville poke fun at certain tropes of Star Trek. Galaxy Quest focused mainly on the Star Trek fandom in particular, whereas the Orville focuses more on the sci-fi trope aspect of Star Trek. Mainly, at least in the pilot episode, this plays out in the interactions between Captain Ed Mercer and the crew, their various different species, and how different species sometimes don't get along quite as well with other species, but there's the Union, which is supposed to be a analog of the Star Trek's Federation, and they are all supposed to be able to get along together, but of course, certain things crop up, and they're not going to have the best working relationship at least as far as the pilot goes. Finally, there's an interesting character parallel between Adrienne Palicki's character in the Orville and a previous character she played, namely Bobby Morse, in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Both of these characters had a messy divorce, and the show derives much comedic potential from the interaction when they're forced together with her ex-husband in both cases. The Orville, she was the ex-wife of Seth MacFarlane's character. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she was the ex-wife of Hunter, who is also a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they are forced together once again. And in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they rekindle their romance. Who knows whether that's going to happen in the Orville, but I'd say it's a safe bet. Now, with all this being said, would I recommend you see the Orville based on this first pilot episode? I would say is definitely worth your attention, and I am definitely curious to see more of it. At least for me personally, and I don't know, I'm sure many other people share the same opinion, Seth MacFarlane's humor is sort of an acquired taste, and it's also a bit hit and miss. I personally don't like a lot of Family Guy. I like certain episodes. I didn't like Ted 1 and 2, but I really loved A Million Ways to Die in the West. So for me, he's kind of hit and miss, but at the same time, it is definitely worth your attention with the Orville because his humor, while definitely there and certainly evocative of Seth MacFarlane's style humor, does not overwhelm the main story. And of course, the humor is derived from the different characters rather than just Seth MacFarlane himself, which is a great plus. All that being told, I would say I don't want this show to be canceled anytime soon. I definitely want to see more of it, and I recommend it to you as well. So, there you have it. There's my review of at least the pilot episode of The Orville. I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Look forward to my next TV review of the pilot episode of Star Trek Discovery coming out on September 24th, as well as my movie review of Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which is coming out September 22nd. Now, thank you all for watching, and just remember, there's nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen before. So, until next time.